let's turn.
Hamas agrees the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal, sourcing group says. The very fact that this is being reported on the BBC is interesting, because normally I wouldn't hear from the Hamas side of things from the BBC. I would hear from Drop Site. So I wonder where this is. Coming from.
To the Middle East for the next few moments, because Hamas has informed mediators that it approves the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal. That is what a group official has told the Reuters news agency. AFP are also reporting this, that a Hamas source who requested anonymity told them that Hamas has delivered its response to the mediators, confirming that Hamas and the factions agreed to the new ceasefire proposal without requesting any amendments. A Palestinian official earlier today told AFP that mediators had proposed an initial 60-day truce and hostage release in 2 batches. Well, let's go live to our Middle East correspondent, Emir Nader, live there in Jerusalem. And Emir, tell us more.
Well, what we understand is that this proposal is been based on a proposal originally put forward by the US envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, earlier in June. We've heard from a Palestinian official familiar with the talks that is what this 60-day ceasefire proposal is based around. It would see hostages and Palestinian prisoners exchanged in 2 batches over those 60 days. So an initial release of living Israeli hostages of perhaps around 10. That's around half of the Israeli hostages in the Gaza Strip, believed to still be alive still, and a number of bodies of Israeli hostages. And then there would be negotiations during this period ongoing for a permanent end to the war. That was the proposal put forward by Steve Witkoff earlier this year. We understand from Palestinian officials familiar with the talks that it is the proposal that has formed the basis of what Hamas have agreed to today. It was put forward to them in Egypt, where there have been these very reinvigorated negotiations, discussions ongoing in an attempt to avert Israel's planned invasion of Gaza City, which could have very huge, untold consequences for the million Palestinians that are there. So it's really focused.
I'm fairly certain that Israel's only accepting this. If they do, who fucking knows? They'll probably stop bombing again after the 2 hostages have been released now, because there are 500,000 protests in Israel at the moment about Bibi not bringing hostages home. I guess like the internal pressure is mounting in Israel.
Minds. What we don't know is how Israel may respond to this.
I saw a photo that said 300,000. I mean, it looked like a massive protest. It certainly looked like a gigantic protest.
Be seen as a partial deal, i.e. a staged release of hostages. And just last week we heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu that the door has closed to partial deals and that he wants to pursue only a comprehensive deal that would see the release of all Israeli hostages. However, he will be expected to respond to this, and there are many details that we aren't aware of, many details that involves, for instance, the day after, many details that will need to be worked out. Indeed, one of the key sticking points that undermined this proposal put forward by Steve Witkoff the first time is that Hamas really wants any release of hostages to lead to a permanent end to the war. So they no doubt will be seeking and perhaps have been given some indication of assurances that if they are to engage with this and release hostages, it will indeed lead to a permanent end to the war.
I mean, Nader there in Jerusalem, thanks very much.
Over to the Middle East now, where Israel's plan to take over much of Gaza was met with protests by hundreds of thousands of Israelis yesterday. They held demonstrations across the country demanding a ceasefire and the return of the remaining hostages held by Hamas. Lee Kanairi has more on some of Israel's largest anti-war protests.
End the war. Release the hostages. Hundreds of thousands in Israel demanded during a nationwide strike, blocking major highways and lighting bonfires. Loud calls for their government to listen.
Stop the war. Stop the government from sacrificing our hostages, sacrificing basically us and the Palestinian people for its own political gain.
One of the largest demonstrations of dissent over Israel's campaign to defeat Hamas in Gaza. The father of American-Israeli soldier Itai Chen, whose body is believed to be held by Hamas, summed it up with a scream. Enough. he says. Outrage has grown after Prime Minister Netanyahu revealed plans for a new military offensive in some of Gaza's most populated areas that will require mass movement of Palestinians again.
Oof. It's still whiplash, bro. Every time they flip from like protests in Israel directly to like 20, 30, 40 miles away from where that protester is being held. And I'm like, holy fuck. Dude, it's like living in Chicago and bombing the ever-loving shit out of like right on the other side of the fucking Illinois state boundary. You know what I mean? I don't think we think about it enough. Like, this is Gary, Indiana versus Chicago, Illinois. Okay? Like, imagine if the people of Chicago were just like absolutely destroying, just like bombing the fuck out of Indiana. And before you joke and say, oh, Indiana deserves to be fucking bombed or whatever, like, it's just so insane. Oh my God.
From places like Gaza City, where 11-year-old Nadim Abu Nada lives in ruins. But this is her home, and she says the only place she wants to go is to school. We want to live like the other children around the world and go to school. We have nothing. There is no food or water. Food aid agencies operating in Gaza say getting into the territory remains highly challenging, and any further disruption could be dire. Israeli reports say a Gaza City offensive would require a large-scale mobilization.
Yeah, they keep talking about fucking 750,000 reservists. They got like 74,000 active duty right now. They are not getting 750,000 reservists to actually go and permanently militarily occupy Gaza. These people are out of their fucking minds, dude. It's just psychotic. I guess they're just gonna, what? America, instead of sending troops to Ukraine and defend Ukraine, which is not gonna happen, obviously. Russia's a nuclear armed nation. We're just gonna send 100,000 troops. We're going to do the real Iraq surge, but this time in Gaza, so that Israel can maintain and occupy Gaza while it continues conducting its ethnic cleansing campaign.
Of reservists that would come as fury at government policy is loud and clear. For CBS,
yeah, we got to send in the National Guard to defend Israel.